It's your boy, Built for Anything, and thank you for clicking on this video. If you're new to this channel, let me just explain. This is a channel where you're gonna get a lot of different things. I'm into photography, I'm into cinematography, I have a finance background, and I want to be able to just share a lot of my experiences with you guys. I'm also vegan, so I also give out a lot of health advice that I've read up on and researched, and I'm just a cool dude, and I make videos about sports and various things. So welcome, and let's get on with the show. Now, on this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about leasing versus financing a car. Now, the reason why I came up with this topic is because I actually had my cousin who reached out to me, and he had the question like, why should I pick one over the other? Now, he's not the first person or the last person to ask me about that. I've always had a lot of people ask me what's the difference between the both, which one should I do? So hopefully in this video, by the end of this video, you'll gain some knowledge on which one and you can make your own decisions, okay? It's not a matter of which one is better, it's a matter of which one is better for you, okay? So let's break it down. First thing I want you guys to understand is that when you're talking about a vehicle, understand that a car is a depreciating asset, all right? It's not a house, it's not an investment necessarily, right? Because once you have a car, once you drive it off the lot, the value goes down. Now, unless we're talking about like antique cars, those cars that, those old Jaguars or those old Mustangs and, those old Chevys, those, because of the time and the era and the fact that they don't make those type of cars anymore, those type of cars might be, the value may have held up to where it can sell for way more now in today's dollars than what it was back in the day. But we're not talking about that, right? We're talking about your standard, vehicles that you see every single day, okay? Now, because this is a depreciating asset, you have to understand what is it that you're going into it for, okay? So I'm gonna start with financing. In both scenarios, financing, you don't own the car right away, okay? When you start to finance a vehicle, what happens is that usually the term is about 5 years. And there's an interest rate attached to that based on your credit. Now, you have within those 5 years, you may put money down, right? And it goes towards the value of the car. And over that 5-year period, you pay off the value of the car, including the interest, and then the car is yours. But from the time you walk out of there, that vehicle is not yours completely. It is still co-owned or owned by the dealership. So keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to a lease, you're basically renting the vehicle, okay? The idea with the lease is that it's not a long-term thing. It's not a 5-year term. It's usually 3 years and some even less. And what happens is that you're basically renting the car. You put some money down, but the goal is to not put down more money than you need to. Why? Because you're not really getting that money back. Once the lease is up, that's it. You can start all over with a new vehicle, but that money that you put into the lease, you don't get it back. Now, you could have used some of that money towards your insurance. You could have invested it in other things. The idea here is that you want to put down the least possible when it comes to a lease, where with finance, you want to put down the most possible, so this way you can maybe pay off your vehicle within that 5-year period, maybe sooner. All right? So that's the difference in approach. Now, who's it for, right? Now, if I'm somebody who has a kid, or if I'm somebody who feel like I want to own this car so I could pass it on to somebody else, then I think finance is a great option. Because after the 5 years, you own it, it's paid up, and if you have a kid that's about to go to college or high school, something like that, and you want to give them a car, instead of you going out buying a brand new car, you can give them that car, and then you can go and get yourself another car, right? So it really depends on, are you the type of person who really is going to keep that vehicle? In my experience, I know that after a certain period of time, the way cars, you drive them around, they break down over time, you put in a lot of money to fix it. After a while, you're going to want something new, so that's just me. Now, when it comes to the lease, once that 3-year period is up or whatever term, 36 months, whatever term, you have an option. where you can decide you want to keep that car, and that money that you pay, they'll put towards it, and then they'll calculate what your monthly payment will be to finance the rest of the vehicle based on the residual value. Or you can go into a new lease, go into a different car, go to a different, dealership. If you have Mercedes, you can go to BMW, you can go to Honda, you can switch it around, every 3 years or so. Because usually, I want to say after 3-4 years, that's when a car starts to really show its colors. That's when things start to really break down. And so I think that's like the perfect time period usually to like, all right, I've had enough of this. I'm ready to try something, right? So if you're someone who, you don't feel like you're going to keep this car for a long time, you might live in an area where you don't need a vehicle like that. You don't need to drive around like that, but you do want to have a car. Then between the two, generally speaking, the lease is going to have the lowest payment compared to the finance. Why? Because when you're financing a car, they're financing it over the entire value of the vehicle. So if the car costs $40,000, you're paying $40,000 on that car plus interest, right? So it might be 45 over time, 46 over time, right? With a lease, if the vehicle is worth $40,000, you're not paying $40,000 within that 3-month period lease. You're paying a percentage of the residual value, so that might mean 20 something. You see what I'm saying? So on average, the payments are usually relatively cheaper. Now here's the caveat. You generally need better credit to get a lease than you do with a finance. Because with a lease, they have to know that, hey, you're willing to pay this back, because once they hand this car over to you, they can't sell it brand new to somebody else. You see what I'm saying? So they gotta make sure that this is somebody who has a good reputation of paying back and is responsible. Because not only do you have to, make your payments, but you got to give that vehicle back in relatively good condition. Of course, there's wear and tear, but you can't give back that vehicle with the front bumper missing. They'll just charge you. They'll fix whatever damages you do to it, but you're going to get billed for it. And it's usually going to be higher through the company than if you were to go and get it fixed yourself. So you got to take care of that vehicle. With a finance, hey, it's yours. You're going to pay for it over time. You can run it through the ground. They don't care, right? So, that's really the main differences. Now, I'll tell you what trumps both scenarios. If you just got the money and you have the residual cash and you can just, discretionary cash, and you can just buy out a vehicle outright, that's really your best way. Because what happens is that when you approach a dealership and you're willing to buy it, they're willing to negotiate with you better. So if that vehicle costs $40,000 and you say, look, I got $30,000 cash, $35,000 cash, they'll do the business with you. 9 out of 10 times they'll do the business with you because they don't got to go through the hassle of paperwork. They don't got to go through the financing you. They get rid of that vehicle. That's your best way, and then you don't have to worry about that other than insurance and maintenance. So that is the ideal way. But everybody ain't got the money to spend right away on a car and just buy it outright. So usually it's one of those other two options. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys, right? Because I always get people that ask this question, what's the difference? It's really up to you and what your long-term goals are. If you're somebody who's in a situation where you're saving and maybe you want to get settled more, you're single, you're young, you want to experience different things, a lease might be a better option for you. Now, if you're somebody who feels like, you're not really into, moving cars around, you rather stick with one vehicle, maybe you like to work on cars, you really want to build something that you could call your own, because you can't do those things on a lease. Remember, you got to give that car back the way you got it. You see what I'm saying? So if you're somebody who you like to trick out and change your tires and do all kinds of stuff to it, you're probably going to want to finance that car or buy that car. So that's really the difference, between the two. But hopefully these tips help you. And if you don't fall in any of these categories, you could always get a bicycle. It's easy on the environment. It costs a hell of a lot cheaper. And you could always pay for Ubers nowadays if you're in a big city, or take major transportation. So there's always other options as well. But hopefully this helps you guys. It's your boy Bill for anything. And I'm here for you. If you have any questions or anything I didn't cover, I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I think I got everything. Please leave your comments down below if you have any questions on anything that I discussed. I love interacting with you guys. Shout out to all the new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. And it's your boy Bill for anything. It's a beautiful Sunday. I hope you're enjoying yours. Keep watching, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace and love, y'all. I'm out.